I'm Professor Singer, and this is your portal into the most recent and sharpest innovations and problem solving on the planet. While headlines chase noise, we chase breakthroughs from Nairobi to New Delhi, from street-level hacks to quantum leaps. This is where invention meets necessity and creativity meets constraint. Let's get to it. I'm so proud of my apprentices I've nurtured over the years. This week I want all of you to hear from one of Tharaka Invention Academy's innovation apprentices in the United Kingdom. Hello, Yeshimabeth. Please introduce yourself and then let us know what you've learned from this week's innovation brief you've downloaded and read.
Thank you very much, Professor Singer. Every week we patiently look forward to your weekly innovation briefs you've researched. We learn about amazing innovations going on in your part of the world, which neither large nor small mass media companies cover here in the global north countries. This really appears as a concerted effort to keep populations here deliberately ignorant and uninformed. This week, we are especially proud of the innovations going on in your adopted new country, Kenya. Keep up the good work there, Professor Singer. All right, so today we're going to piece together a totally new map of global innovation. But I want you to forget Silicon Valley for a minute. Forget the next viral app. The real revolution. The stuff that's actually changing our world. It's happening somewhere else entirely, and it looks completely different from what you've probably been told. So, let's dive in and see what's really going on. Okay, so, let's start with a big question, and I want you to really think about this. When you hear that word innovation right now, what's the very first picture that pops into your head? Yeah, I'm guessing for a lot of us, for a long, long time, the answer was probably something like this, right? The race to build the next big app. That was the story. That was the dominant narrative of innovation we all heard over and over again. But what if that's not the real story anymore? What if the real innovation happening today is something else entirely? What if it's less about the next cool app and a lot more about solving fundamental real-world problems from the ground up? That is the massive shift we're going to unpack right now. All right, so first up, we're going to start by totally redefining innovation. We're going to look at the sort of unseen revolution that's happening far, far away from the usual headlines. And then we'll get into innovating with policy because, sometimes the biggest breakthroughs aren't about new gadgets at all. They're about new rules. Okay, check this out. Take Kenya, for example. The government there has this just brilliant proposal to completely rethink what they call corporate social responsibility, or CSR. For years that money, CSR funds, it just went to traditional charity. But now, Kenya is asking a really smart question. What if we redirected all that money into systemic long-term investments in our own local startups? And the potential impact, it is huge. Just this one simple policy shift could unlock an extra $35 million for Kenyan startups every single year. To put that in perspective, that's enough to triple the government's current seed fund. This is an absolute masterclass in using policy to build a self-sustaining innovation ecosystem from the inside out. And hey, this isn't just happening in one place. Let's jump over to India. The government there is making a massive, and I mean massive, bet on agricultural innovation. We're talking about a $4.3 billion investment aimed squarely at one goal, achieving food self-reliance. And this really shows you the sheer scale of that ambition. So, India is a huge importer of things like lentils and chickpeas. This new mission is all about changing that. The goal is to crank up domestic production by almost 45% by 2030. This isn't a small fix. It's a huge systemic solution to a really foundational national challenge. Okay, so we've talked policy, we've talked big money. Now for our third section, let's talk about building the next generation. Because really, innovation isn't just about funding or rules, right? At its very core, it's all about empowering people. And I don't think there's a better example of this than the first ever East African skills competition. This is so cool. Instead of sitting for boring old exams, students from 6 different countries were given these really practical challenges like, hey, go design and build a functional eco-house. This is the kind of hands-on learning that directly tackles the skills gap. It's preparing young people for the real jobs of the future. And sticking with that theme, let's head back to Kenya for a second, because we're seeing another really powerful example of this kind of grassroots empowerment. The Mpaka Foundation, that's the charitable arm of the telecom giant Softwarecom. They're funding a brand new innovation hub at Msino University. So the foundation is putting in just under $1 million to get this hub built. And you know, in the grand scheme of things, you might hear that and think, okay, that's a pretty modest amount. But wait for it, that investment is going to directly benefit 27,000 students. 27,000. It's giving them access to cutting-edge labs, to incubation centers. This is what we call frugal innovation. And it's at its absolute best, a really targeted investment that creates this huge outsized impact. It's literally turning a university into a launch pad for a whole new generation of problem solvers. All right, so we've gone from the individual level. Now let's zoom out a bit. Let's look at how this whole drive for innovation is fueling massive, super ambitious projects, all designed to achieve regional self-reliance. Okay, get this. In Ethiopia, Nigeria's Dangote group is building a colossal $2.5 billion fertilizer plant. Now, this is not just another factory. This is a huge deal. It's an African-led solution to a major African problem, the lack of affordable fertilizer. This is exactly what South-South collaboration looks like in action. And you know, Alo Dangote himself, he just captured the spirit of this project perfectly. He called it a new dawn for Africa. And that's what it is. It's about African capital and African expertise solving African problems. It's a really powerful symbol of growing economic sovereignty. And we see that exact same spirit in Rwanda's big push to become a vaccine manufacturing hub. I mean, we all remember the pandemic and the vulnerabilities it exposed. So for them, building local production, it's not just about health security. As they put it, it's about dignity, preparedness, and trust in Africa's ability to innovate. This is innovation literally born from a crisis, and it's all aimed at self-reliance. Okay, so when we take all of these different stories from Kenya, India, Ethiopia, Rwanda, and we start to put them together on a board, well, the dots, they really start to connect, and what they reveal is a whole new map of innovation. So, what does this new map actually show us? Well, the key trends are becoming super clear. There's this powerful drive for self-reliance. We're seeing innovation being redefined to be about so much more than just tech. We're seeing the rise of South-South collaboration, policies being used as a primary tool for change, and it's all wrapped in his focus on empowerment and resilience. Look, book, this is not the old story. This isn't about innovation trickling down from just a few well-known places. This is a new story. It's about innovation bubbling up from everywhere, often driven by pure necessity. So, if this is the new map, the real question for all of us is, where is the next world-changing breakthrough going to come from? And the answer, well, it just might be from a place you're not even looking at yet. Okay, I now encourage you to download Professor Singer's full research report. The link is in the description below.
Thanks again for being part of Tharaka Invention Academy. I'm so proud of my apprentices I've nurtured over the years.